Our Main Street Newsroom. This is 2 News Live at 3:30.
Live at 3:30, taking a live look from Kanosh, Utah, in central Utah this afternoon, where evacuations orders in varying degrees are still in place. We will talk about the Widemouth 2 fire coming up in just a moment. Also, someone that has taken center stage in terms of television and medical during the pandemic, Anthony Fauci, was in a hearing room earlier today as we take this live look from the White House, the exchange that was had during testimony coming up, and also a deep dive into this conversation involving a Native American summit at Utah Valley University. Here is a live look from Orem this afternoon, where they try to strengthen tribal unity. That discussion on the way. Thanks for joining us live here downtown Salt Lake City inside of our KUTV 2 News newsroom. I'm Brian Schnee. Thank you for being with us. We want to head out to Vernal first here on 2 News Live at 3:30, where we've been following the developments of a child that was left inside of a vehicle that was turned off. We've learned that this is a 7-month-old that was found deceased and ultimately taken to the hospital, pronounced deceased. This happened yesterday. A live look from Vernal this afternoon. We've gotten a lot of information about this, that the child's father has been taken into custody and charged related to that abuse. It's called a child abuse homicide versus a negligence. We're trying to get some more information on the case as it stands right here, but it was a 7-month-old girl that was left in the vehicle for more than 2 hours. And reading some of the charging documents related to this man who is the girl's father, we learned that it was between 130 and 150 degrees inside of that vehicle because temperatures outside were over 90 degrees. This is a developing story that we can find on our website right now, KUTV.com. Let's head from Vernal now to Millard County here, the Widemouth 2 fire in an area that is very visible from I-15. A lot of people seeing it yesterday. The fire looks very different today, though. Put up a massive column of smoke. We take a live look here with Natalie Wattis stepping into frame for us, live from Kanosh this afternoon. Natalie, I know you spoke to some fire officials there with Northern Utah Type 3, the team that took over today. What did they tell you about fire behavior? And things look just much better in terms of this fire from yesterday to where we are now.
Yeah, hey Brian. Things are definitely a lot cooler today. There's a lot more moisture. We had a storm front come through. It was actually raining just a little bit when we got here. Now, fire officials say it's not enough to put out the fire, but what it does help with is getting firefighters in there, and they're hoping to make a lot of progress today on the fire. As you mentioned, there's been some extreme fire behavior here. We saw what some people are calling a fire-nado here yesterday, where a dust devil spun up right by the fire. It's just been very hot, very windy, and this fire has exploded since Monday. It's burned just over 5,900 acres now. But today, with the lower fire behavior, with the moisture, they're trying to make a lot of progress, because I'll show you the burn scar again. It has burned quite a bit. And they're hoping that by making progress today, they can kind of curb more extreme fire behavior. That's what they're expecting later on in the week. And Brian, already we've had evacuations here. We're told 10 residents were evacuated last night out of an abundance of caution because extreme fire behavior was pushing the fire towards the town of Kanosh here. The area that I'm standing in right now is in the set status, and the town of Kanosh itself is in the ready status. So they are prepared that if that extreme fire behavior pops up again tomorrow and through later on in the week, that they'll be ready to go if they need to. Brian?
Natalie Wattis reporting live from Millard County here. We will see if those evacuation orders and notices stick, or if they're able to lessen those degrees here as we make our way through some cooler temperatures. Thank you, Natalie. Some other big news happening today. Former chief medical advisor to the President of the United States, Anthony Fauci, was involved in a testifying in our nation's capital today, where he actually invoked his right to the Fifth over 100 times. It is really interesting to listen to this testimony. There's security that was escorting Fauci's attorney from the hearing room. We will see that in just a little bit. Also, Senator Bernie Moreno's profane confrontation here. There was a lot packed into this dialogue. Listen.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs, they know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people.
So not a lot of answers, but more pleading the fifth there out of the former chief medical advisor for the President of the United States. Speaking of the President here, President Donald Trump vowing to bomb a bridge, a power plant for every ship that Iran hits. This continues that conflict and the previous ceasefire that was in place. There's some new data that says there are increasing worries within citizens here in the United States about the Iran war, and it could make it harder for the U.S. to defend itself against other threats. We're also aware that weapon stockpiles are down to about a third of what it was pre-war here. So let's take a look at what's going on into our content center as we have a live look from our nation's capital. I believe we are heading along to our conversation out of Orem this afternoon here, where we're talking about a event that took place earlier today, a summit that discussed the Native American tribal unity, if you will, here in the state of Utah. Justin Allison from UVU's Native Excellence and Tribal Engagement, kind enough to join us here on 2 News Live this afternoon. So, Justin, why is this summit important for Utah's tribal communities as a whole?
Yeah, the Tribal Summit brings together tribal leaders from the state of Utah with government officials from the state. So earlier today, we had Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson here to discuss and talk with tribal leaders about some of the issues that they may be having on the tribal lands. It's also a good opportunity for dialogue to happen, talking about the economic opportunities, health and wellness, workforce development, cultural preservation, and other government-to-government relationships. And so these dialogues really help us understand what's happening on these tribal lands, and it's an opportunity for these discussions to happen so that our state and tribal leaders can have a good dialogue where we can have some progress in these things.
So, Justin, on that subject, why is it important to bring everybody together here, tribal leaders, state officials, et cetera? What gets accomplished when you have everyone in the room?
Yeah, a lot of these tribal leaders and the tribal members, there's a lot of history involved and perspectives from these sovereign tribes. And so these conversations allow us to continue these conversations and have our voices be heard, not only for tribal leaders, but tribal community and tribal members, to make sure that the governor, lieutenant governor of the state of Utah understand what's happening. It just helps build these relationships. It strengthens when we have these conversations and helps ensure that our Native have voices and that these decisions that will be made now and in the future are heard, and there's perspectives from both sides.
Justin Allison, Director of UVU's Native Excellence and Tribal Engagement, talking about the summit earlier today on the campus of UVU in Orem. Justin, thank you. We're staying in Orem now, where we talk more about UVU and what they're up to. They have developed a floating barge that removes harmful algae from Utah Lake that is obviously nearby. The giant barge filters about 100,000 gallons of water a day to help limit algal blooms. The goal is to keep the popular areas, especially Utah Lake, so we've got the marinas, the state park locations, the beaches, all of that safe. So algae treatments are actually happening statewide today, also in Cedar City, not just in Utah Lake. Also going on today, the old Sears site near downtown in the Salt Lake City area is being prepared to be a new Intermountain Health Hospital. That has been affectionately known as like the pond or the lake in town. Crews are cleaning up soil contamination there, as you see some video from earlier today, by that old auto shop motor leaks, because they have been contaminating that location. Intermountain Health's final hospital plans are expected later this year. In case you were wondering what was going on with the Sears Pond in downtown Salt Lake City, from the pond just up the street here to our content center in our 2 News newsroom. Megan, we are looking at the whirl, if you will. A lot of people saw this video yesterday. What goes on behind a fire tornado? What did you find out?
Yeah, so this is a fire tornado, also known as a fire-nado. It's burning near the Widemouth 2 fire in Millard County, and essentially what happens is really intense heat combines with really powerful wind to form something like this. So they're super rare, but they are really dangerous. I mean, winds can get up to over 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, hurricane force, tornado force, depending on what it rates out to. From fire to fire, what are we seeing in southern Utah? I know that people are talking about this landfill that continuously ignites or stays on fire, burning garbage, essentially. What are their concerns?
Yeah, residents are really concerned. There's been a lot of negative health effects that have come from this fire. I mean, obviously, number one, the smell. And then number two, residents are reporting things like congestion and runny noses, heart palpitations, brain fog, things like that. So they're trying to get that cleared up with the city.
All right, Megan, thank you very much. All of this you can find on KUTV.com. I will take that from you as well. Also, you can see those videos on our social platforms, on our Instagram page, and on our YouTube page. There's a lot you can find over there. We're going to head over to meteorologist Chase Thomason here and look at the forecast. I've noticed a couple things from yesterday to today. Things in the Kanosh area just look a lot better for fire crews. Temperatures have dropped. It's a lot more humid there, but there is that flood risk and flood concern that we've continued to see by the Cottonwood Fire burn scar, you name it. Meteorologist Chase Thomason joining us here on 2 News Live at 3:30. Nice to have you with us as always. What are you tracking right now?
Yeah, it's been quite the day down in southern Utah, right? You mentioned a little bit of rain, though, getting closer to central Utah, so that's good news for that new wildfire. But we are seeing still several flash flood warnings, mainly for those normally dry washes, a lot of those slot canyons right around Bryce Canyon. Bryce Canyon with over 2 inches of rain so far, and it's still raining. That is a lot of water. But St. George got anywhere between about a 1/4 inch to almost a 1/2 inch of rain across southwestern Utah, and all this moisture is lifting into central and eastern Utah throughout the day.
Those famous hoodoos at Bryce Canyon getting a drink of water, to say the very least.
That's right.
Have you heard any reports of flashing at this point in the day?
I have not really seen any video. That is good news, but if Bryce Canyon gets over 2 inches of rain, there's going to be some flash flooding, especially in some of those slot canyons. So that's what we're tracking right now, and it looks like maybe some of that moisture could be lifting into northern Utah later this evening. So right now we are dry along the Wasatch Front, but there is a chance for isolated thunderstorms, maybe around 8 to 10 o'clock, something that we're watching.
What's your next big weather maker that you're looking beyond this evening?
It's going to be the heat. We have new heat alerts out. We're talking extreme heat watch, heat warnings, heat advisories, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's been nice with the cooler temperatures, Brian. We've been dipping into the 80s and 90s with some of this rain and cloud cover, but now we're talking triple-digit heat, and it looks really hot this weekend with drier air. So these daily storms, they're going to be going away. It's going to be about the sun and, again, the extreme heat.
All about where those storms make their impact, right? Because with the heat, any spark can do what we've seen here over the course of the last few months in Utah. We have about 30 seconds, so I wanted to ask you a little bit more about this situation. Have our fuels gotten a little bit of a drink here with these monsoon moisture storms?
They have. The problem, though, is that maybe it might bring a little relief for a few days, but when you get this hot, this sunny, and the winds might pick up later in the weekend, it's really going to dry those fuels out in just a matter of days.
All right, meteorologist Chase Thomason. We'll see you in a few minutes on 2 News at 4.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Still ahead here on 2 News Live at 3:30, a rare space phenomena just hit one of our national parks here in Utah. You may have missed this one. We'll talk about it coming up. Welcome back here on 2 News Live. We are always listening to what you are saying on social media, especially. You're really active on Reddit, and that's where we see a lot of things that you are talking about. Red sprites, a space phenomenon. I didn't know anything about this, but the perfect person to talk about this is the person who answered all of my questions during the Artemis II space mission when I was over at the Clark Planetarium. Jason Trump, kind enough to join us here, has so much knowledge in all of these things that I enjoy learning more about, and I know a lot of you do too when you head downtown to go to the Clark Planetarium and check out all the cool things there. Jason, thanks for the time. What are red sprites, and why are they so rare?
That's a good question. So you have to understand lightning, right? We're all familiar with lightning. We know that it has something to do with electricity, right? Like that same thing where you shuffle your slippers on the carpet and touch a doorknob. Well, the thing you got to understand about lightning is, yes, it goes down, but it also goes up. There's something called positive lightning. And positive lightning goes from the cloud and it actually goes upward in direction. And when it does that, it, of course, interacts with the atmosphere and it actually excites the nitrogen and it produces this red colored event that we call a red sprite. So there's a lot of different terms for it, but positive lightning, scientists would call it a transient luminous event, or a TLE. And so it is really rare. About 5% of the time that lightning strikes, we have this positive lightning effect.
So
Now,
this was in the Canyonlands area
go
that
ahead.
somebody referenced this, Jason. We only have about a minute, but this was in the Canyonlands area. Is that a good place to see all this? I know obviously we have our dark skies. We have a lot of great places to look up. But is the Canyonlands location, if you're going to see one, this would be ideal?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that because the clouds are covering it, it's hard to see it. In fact, a lot of times they see them from airplanes. A lot of times they see them from space. That's one of the important things about having astronauts in space is they can study events like this because they can actually see it and record information. Now, red sprite, a lot of forest fires, for example, which I know we're talking about right now in Utah. So the more that we can learn about these, the more that we can be prepared to prevent those kind of things from causing impacts on our lives. And so, yeah, it's a really important thing and a very rare thing, but very cool that this happened and was seen in Utah.
I'm glad somebody got to see it. I know you and I would probably like to see this phenomenon too. Jason, thank you for joining us. I know it was a quick conversation. Would love to have you back soon here to talk more about all of the uniqueness that we have here in Utah. Thanks for stopping by 2 News Live this afternoon. A lot of things that you are also talking about on social media. This is a talker always, not just in Utah, but across the country about Utah. Utah's fertility rates have dropped significantly since 2007. 37% drop. That is massive. You think about a lot of the generational large families here in Utah. Some people are saying about this, generous parental leave, subsidized childcare, publicly funded fertility treatment, and their birth rates fell too. But Utah's birth rate fell faster than anyone's. That is some of the reaction we're hearing here. In just a few minutes, we will talk to Jim Spiewak, who is diving deeper into the data here, getting a better understanding of what has changed over the last few decades here since the peak back again in 2007. That decline obviously coming to a shock of some, but not others because of our historically large families here in Utah. But again, that's something a lot of you are talking about here today. As we wrap up what we are hearing you talk about on 2 News Listens, there's a local post raising questions about why an exchange student still needs a host family in Ogden. I've done a lot of talking about this in my time here in Utah because I focus a lot of time on our ski resorts, and they get a lot of people here working on J-1 visa programs. And there's always the need for more housing, a la Park City. We can talk about that one a whole nother day. We're looking into what it takes to become a host family here and who can apply. These are vital needs in our community, just like foster parents and such. This is a shorter term commitment. It would require having somebody likely from even another country in your home. But again, the program says that host families can help students adjust to life in a new country. They need you ultimately to help grow, many of which are studying here at the same time as working. So this is a conversation out of Ogden right now. We've reached out to some local exchange program coordinators to learn what's behind the search for a host family. And we would love to have someone on here on 2 News Live to learn more about this, because this is something we take very seriously in the Beehive State with so many people coming to Utah, even on a temporary basis for work and for education. We hear you here on 2 News Live. We are always listening to you. We're checking Facebook and Instagram. Reddit is the big one lately. We've been seeing a lot of deep threads with some serious insight on some of these topics. Join us every afternoon here at 3:30 for 2 News Listens. We're right back.